During the intense confrontation aboard the Invisible Hand, Anakin Skywalker and Count Dooku engage in a fierce duel, their lightsaber blades glowing with the energy of the conflict. Obi Wan Kenobi is temporarily incapacitated, fallen to the ground, leaving Anakin to face Dooku alone. The duel is not only a physical battle, but also a psychological one. Anakin, driven by anger and the need to protect your master, fights with growing fury. Dooku, with the coolness of an experienced warrior, tries to exploit Anakin's emotional instability by playing on his insecurities. The battle between the two becomes a foretaste of the greater conflict that is about to unfold. Anakin, driven by his anger, finally disarms Dooku, cutting off his hands. Count Dooku kneels, defeated, while Palpatine, watching intently, encourages Anakin to kill him. Palpatine tells Anakin that the Count is too great a threat to be kept alive and that he must be eliminated to ensure peace. However, at the critical moment, Anakin hesitates. His hand trembles as he holds the lightsaber, while he struggles with the morality of the situation. It is at this moment that Obi-Wan, recovering, intervenes and prevents Anakin from striking the final blow, reminding him of the Jedi principles and the importance of not giving in to the dark side. Palpatine, frustrated by Anakin's hesitation, tries to manipulate the situation further, saying that the young Jedi should put an end to Dooku once and for all. He appeals to Anakin's insecurities, trying to convince him that the only way to protect the people he loves is to embrace the power he possesses. Obi-Wan, however, stands firm and continues to persuade Anakin not to follow Palpatine's advice. He reminds Anakin that Jedi justice should not be guided by revenge, but by balance. Obi-Wan's strong presence prevents Anakin from giving in completely to Palpatine's influence. Dooku, wounded and unarmed, is taken into custody by the Jedi and transported to the Jedi Temple for interrogation. Although captured, he is not completely subdued. During his interrogation, Dooku begins to reveal information about the Sith, but in an enigmatic and evasive way. He doesn't give it all away straight away, preferring to play games with the Jedi, offering bits of knowledge but keeping control over what he says. He hints that there is a shadowy figure manipulating events in the galaxy, but doesn't explicitly reveal Palpatine's identity. His attitude keeps the Jedi on their toes, suspecting that Dooku knows more than he is willing to reveal. Aware of the danger Dooku poses to his plans, Palpatine organizes an assassination attempt to silence his former apprentice before he can reveal more information to the Jedi Council. During a routine transport, mercenaries sent by Palpatine attempt to kill Dooku, but fail in their mission. The Count survives the attack and is now fully aware that Palpatine no longer sees the value in keeping him alive. Betrayed by his master, Dooku begins to reconsider his alliances, realizing that he is no more than a disposable piece in Palpatine's larger game. Disgusted at having been betrayed twice first, with Palpatine ordering his death at the hands of Anakin, and then with the failed assassination attempt, Dooku decides to tell the Jedi Council the truth about Darth Sidious. He reveals that Palpatine is actually the Sith Lord the Jedi were looking for. This revelation deeply shakes the Council, as it confirms their worst suspicions. Now the Jedi know that the real enemy lies at the heart of the Republic government, and a race against time begins to stop Palpatine before he can carry out his plans. With Dooku's revelation, Mace Windu, Anakin Skywalker, and other members of the Council decide to act quickly. They set off to arrest Palpatine in his Senate office. Anakin, still torn between his loyalty to the Jedi and his friendship with Palpatine, reluctantly follows Windu. The tension in the air is palpable, as everyone knows that capturing Palpatine will not be simple. When they reach the Chancellor's chambers, Palpatine's true face as Darth Sidious is revealed, and a deadly confrontation begins. However, Palpatine had already foreseen this capture attempt, and before the Jedi could defeat him, he gives the order for Order 66 to be carried out. This order activates the chips in the clones scattered throughout the galaxy, who immediately begin to eliminate the Jedi they were leading. Chaos spreads quickly, and the Republic that the Jedi believed they were protecting turns against them. Palpatine, in a calculated move, tries to destroy the Jedi Order once and for all, believing that this would cement his power and put an end to any resistance. Desperate, the Jedi consult Dooku, who, even as a prisoner, is their only source of detailed information about Palpatine's plans. Dooku, seeing an opportunity to redeem himself, offers details about the execution of Order 66 and how it is being coordinated by the clones. He reveals internal codes and orders that allow the Jedi Council to organize a defense. Although they don't fully trust him, the Jedi know that this information is crucial to saving their lives and stopping Palpatine. When the Jedi Council discovered the true nature of Order 66, their first reaction was to send a warning message via coded channels to all the Jedi scattered throughout the galaxy. The communication was brief but urgent, detailing the betrayal of the clones and the need to immediately distance themselves from any troops under direct Republic command. The Jedi who received the message had to act with extreme caution, as in many cases they were already being hunted down by the very soldiers they had previously considered allies. The message also included safe coordinates for meeting points where they could regroup and organize a defense. Although the message saved many Jedi, not all of them managed to escape in time. Some were on isolated planets or secret missions, and the time between sending the warning and activating the chips in the clones was crucial. Those who were in combat at the time of the transmission had to use their force perception skills to anticipate the imminent attacks. Even with the clear message, the confusion and shock caused by the clones' sudden change of allegiance made the situation extremely dangerous. Many Jedi fell, but those who survived managed to run and hide, waiting for the right moment to react. While the Jedi were trying to escape the hunt, in the Senate the climate of tension was growing. After Palpatine's arrest, senators loyal to the Republic began investigating his control over the clone army. They discovered the existence of the inhibitor chips, which programmed the soldiers to blindly obey Order 66. A committee was quickly formed to discuss how to deactivate or neutralize the clones before more Jedi were killed. The situation required a quick solution, as many senators also feared that the clones could turn against them if Palpatine had left secret orders. The Senate, under pressure from the growing distrust of the population, decided to approve an emergency measure to deactivate the clones in service. Scientists and engineers were called in to develop a technology that could disable the control chips remotely. Meanwhile, senators discussed the possibility of completely disbanding the clone army and replacing it with armed forces made up of human soldiers, trained and loyal only to the democratic government, now restored. The measure was considered risky but necessary, given the threat posed by the clones. With the Senate's approval, a mission was launched to infiltrate the command bases and access the frequencies that controlled the chips in the clones. The task was dangerous, as many of the commands were already under heavy surveillance by the clones, who continued to follow the orders of Order 66. Senator agents, along with some Jedi who managed to regroup, formed a task force to deactivate the systems and free the clones from mind control. The operation took weeks and was marked by several battles against those clones who resisted, but little by little, control over the army was regained. With the chips finally deactivated, the clones awoke from their state of forced obedience, confused and devastated by the actions they had committed against the Jedi. Many rebelled against their own commanders, refusing to follow new orders, while others deserted altogether, unable to cope with the guilt. The end of Order 66 marked a turning point in the war, but it also left deep scars, both on the clones and on the galaxy as a whole. The Senate, in response, began working on a plan to reintegrate the surviving clones or retire them with dignity, recognizing that they too had been victims of Palpatine. With the Jedi alerted and organized, Palpatine is finally captured and taken into custody. He, who had manipulated the strings of power for so long, now found himself in the clutches of those he had tried to destroy. Palpatine's arrest marks the end of an era of darkness, but it also signals that the fight is not yet over. The Jedi know that as long as there are followers of the dark side, the threat will persist, but for now, the capture of the Sith Lord represents a significant victory. Dooku, taking advantage of the chaos and now with his bionic hands restored, escapes from his cell and, in a final act of revenge, confronts Palpatine as he is escorted to prison. The two old allies, now mortal enemies, fight one last time. Dooku, feeling betrayed and abandoned, fights with all his fury against Palpatine, who uses his force rays to try to subdue him. The fight is intense, with both demonstrating the power they wield, but neither is willing to give in. Some members of the Jedi Council witness the battle and suggest intervening to contain Dooku, fearing that he is still a threat. However, Mace Windu, deeply skeptical about the possibility of redemption for Palpatine, orders them not to interfere. For Windu, Palpatine is simply too dangerous to be kept alive, and he sees the battle as an opportunity to eliminate a greater threat, even if it means letting Dooku and Palpatine destroy each other. During the battle, Dooku realizes that he won't be able to defeat Palpatine directly. With one last desperate maneuver, he uses his remaining strength to push Palpatine towards a deep pit nearby, and in the process ends up falling with him. They both disappear into the abyss, sealing their fate. Dooku's sacrifice is not in vain, as Palpatine's death ensures the end of the Sith Lord's reign and prevents him from continuing his evil plans. With Palpatine dead, the Jedi are finally recognized by the Senate as the true protectors of peace in the galaxy. The climate of mistrust and suspicion that had hung over them is dispelled, and the Jedi Order begins to rebuild its strength. At this moment of hope, Padme Amidala gives birth to twins Luke and Leia, with Anakin by her side. Free from the influences of the dark side, Anakin prepares for a new future where he can raise his children in peace, knowing that the galaxy is finally on the road to recovery.